Right, that is the long arm of the law reaching out to grasp a hold and hold people accountable for the riot and attack on the Capitol last week. And what we heard there from the acting U.S. Attorney Michael Sherwin here in the District of Columbia and the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI field office here in Washington, Stephen D'Antuono, is that this is a fast-moving and aggressive criminal investigation. They are essentially getting 100,000 and more digital tips. They are working the case very thoroughly. They got strike forces on various issues. And some of the striking lines that I thought, and I want to go to Robert Boyce, former chief of detectives in New York City, on this, is that acting U.S. Attorney here in Washington, Michael Sherwin, said that they are looking at a range of charges. These first complaints that have come out, the first charge sheets that have come out, talk about misdemeanors and trespassing. But he says he's looking all the way up, of course, to felony murder for the death of Officer Sicknick, but also seditious conspiracy. I just, as somebody who's done a lot of investigations, when you heard what we've just heard, what do you make of this investigation?
Confidence more than anything else that Mr. Sherwin's going to carry this through. The scale and the epic scale, I should say, and scope of it, where it's going to go right now. You look at the numbers, 170 cases, 70 cases already charged. And those charges are not just going to sit there. They may go up from there. 100,000 pieces of digital materials to look at. So you're going to have a lot of FBI agents plugged into this, as well as local law enforcement and all the task forces. It's a tremendous undertaking. It's going to go forward, and I think it's going to go for a couple of weeks now. And he's looking at a Crime Stopper approach to this, putting out these depictions, having people call in and identify them. So that takes a lot of time, but then you have to go get them and of course, talk to these people. What were they doing? You're trespassing on the Capitol. You forced your way in, and they'll follow that person exactly by the clothing they're wearing, the representative clothing they're wearing, and see what they did at that point. Plus, you have police officers who can ID some people as well. Unfortunately, and fortunately, in some respect, a lot of people weren't wearing masks, so you can be able to identify them easily, and what they carried and what they did. You had some out-of-control people there, a lot of them. This is an assault on democracy. So they laid it out quite well. The tip request will be a big part of the case. Social media, examining that and going forward. I was very encouraged with what he said and what the assistant director in D.C. said, Steve D'Antuono. They're going after this full bore. They want people to know, they want public trust that this will not sit. They'll go forward as hard as they can.
And Robert, it sounds like they're still trying to uncover how much of this was a planned attack, how much of this was a spontaneous event. How do you go about piecing that together, and how much does that impact how this investigation moves forward?
So it's going to go in 100 different directions when you get leads of this nature. You know, one person you'll speak to will talk about other persons they were with and what they did and what happened. They have 70 arrests already. So they have 70 debriefings already to see what each one did. Now, some of the people are going to be outside and have done nothing but just stand by. They were pointed to this location by Donald Trump, and it all went in mass. As they said, they should have been disrupted long before they got there. But it's individual actions now is what's mattered, and the officers. So he's going to have different teams assigned to different parts of the investigation. A specific team of prosecutors to look at people, members of the press who were attacked. Another set of prosecutors to address the number of police officers assaulted, 50. The homicide investigation, we're not clear who's running with that right now. I didn't hear him mention that. I'm assuming that the D.C. police are. But we'll see whether that going forward. So he's laying out the framework for the investigation going forward.
And if I could, I want to bring Rick Klein into this, our political director, on this is the first level of accountability. And that is one of the key questions that leaders in both parties, citizens in all parties want, is accountability for this atrocity, this political atrocity here. How much do you think this gets that going for the people who are concerned that because it was a mob associated with President Trump, all wearing MAGA hats and the rest of it, everyone arrested associated with him, how much will this satisfy people who are saying, are concerned that maybe people won't be held accountable?
this was a massive failure at so many different levels of law enforcement agencies and political leadership. And it's going to take the kind of full accounting that you're beginning to hear now from law enforcement authorities. I think some people will be asking, what took so long? Well, I think you heard from FBI officials, from DOJ officials now. They're starting to say, look, this is just the beginning. They are going to find people and they are going to bring further charges. And I'd add, Terry, that this is not just the notion of going back and finding out what happened. This is real and relevant right now, today. There are major security concerns about the Capitol during these high-profile votes that we're expecting tonight and tomorrow, all the way through the inauguration. We have been reporting on the threats against the United States Capitol, as well as all 50 state capitals next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, and the concerns that I've heard, including from members of Congress, about whether Capitol Police can be trusted with security, whether you can trust the National Guard, whether you can trust law enforcement agencies, whether you can even trust fellow members of Congress, when some of them were involved in fomenting this insurrection, at least indirectly. These are real and relevant concerns, and I think the message that law enforcement wants out today is that they are taking it extremely seriously, that they will find people, and I hope just as importantly, prevent anything going forward. Follow those tips, follow those leads, and hope to gather that information before anything worse than what happened last Wednesday can happen again.
Yeah, definitely a daunting soundbite from that press conference is to hear the Capitol described as a crime scene inside and out. So, Kira, what is being done now, especially given these high-profile votes happening in Congress now, to ensure that law enforcement isn't caught off guard again?
Right. See, that's what my takeaway was here, is when we heard from the FBI and then we heard from the acting U.S. Attorney Michael Sherwin. Twice they were asked, first by Brian Williams with NBC and then Shimon Peres at CNN, what happened inside and outside the Capitol that day? What do you know? They were asked that directly. And Diane, neither of them answered that question. And that's my biggest concern, is I know there are experts and analysts inside the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security, outside agencies that track individuals like this, that gather and talk and chat and plan down in the deep dark web. This wasn't just something everybody just decided to do, was storm the Capitol in a matter of a couple hours when they were inspired by the President of the United States. This took organization and planning, and what worries me the most is that one of those agencies, just one expert, one analyst within one of those agencies that our tax dollars pay to protect us, didn't see some sort of red flag pop up on all the various sites that they monitor, that they were getting ready to do this and storm the Capitol. So yes, there is a lot to be done with regard to the investigation and moving forward and protecting the Capitol and our country and the 50 states that we are now hearing are being threatened come Inauguration Day. But why weren't people seeing the red flags before this even happened? And neither of those individuals could answer that question today, and that deeply concerns me.
So many questions on holding people accountable and, as Kira points out, on protecting the country going forward. Kira Phillips, Rick Klein, and Bob Boyce, thanks very much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.